Close your eyes and imagine some of the biggest names in sports walking into an office to discuss business with you. Names like Tiger Woods, Charles Barkley, Derek Jeter, all under the same umbrella of IMG, sitting across from you to discuss what you're going to do to get to the next level. Let's flash back to 1960, a year that the sports world would change forever. Athletes were finally able to capitalize on their own talents, and the man behind it, Mark McCormack, a sports marketing genius. All thanks to one handshake on a golf course in Raleigh, North Carolina. After choosing to present on Mr. McCormack, I thought about hearing his name in the sports management field that I've been in for the past 6 years and what he really meant. I didn't understand it completely, so I talked to some colleagues and read some articles, and I finally understood what he meant to my field. Today I plan on covering the early life of Mark McCormack, where he grew up and where his philosophy came from, and his start in the career of sports management, and what his work has done for the modern era of sports management and agents. He signed major players like Arnold Palmer and others, and that boosted the activity of sports management, which has grown tremendously throughout the years due to the philosophy and contributions of Mark McCormack and his ideas. Looking back to when McCormack met Arnold Palmer, their partnership and friendship grew into something great that went through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. And what that was the foundation for the modern day sports agent. But to really understand what he meant to the field, we have to look at how he grew up and how his philosophy came to be. Starting with his early life, he was born in 1930 in Chicago, living a very normal American lifestyle. The only problem was, doctors at a very early age told him not to play contact sports like football, like most of the kids that he grew up around. So instead of playing that, he started playing golf. And golf was something that's the basis of what he believed in. Golf became a way of life with him. He went to college in Virginia at William and Mary, graduated in 1951 on a golf scholarship. During that time, he did meet Arnold Palmer, and they did have that handshake in Raleigh, North Carolina, that made that deal that he would license and help Arnold wherever he went. Following his time at William and Mary, he went to Yale Law School, graduated in 1954, and that would be the basis for the behind the scenes of being a sports agent, having that law degree. Following his time in Yale, he went to the Army, 1955, stationed in South Carolina. He did play golf during that time, became part of what was known as the Armed Forces Golf Club in Augusta, Georgia. There he would put on tournaments for other people in that realm and also showcase to the public what people in the armed forces in that day and how they could play golf. Following his stint in the Army, he did join a law firm in Cleveland, Ohio, Arter, Hayden, Wyckoff, and Van Duzer. And as he was there, he felt that he wasn't pursuing his intentions fully. So he got bored, decided to quit, and started working with athletes like Arnold Palmer. Arnold got big during this time, playing golf across the nation, and eventually he got very big across overseas, playing in the major tournaments. Athletes at that time would do minor cigarette commercials and minor plugs on the radio, but McCormack thought there was more to an athlete and what they could accomplish. He thought that they could capitalize on the TV ads and different spots doing pro-ams, like progressional golf tournaments. As he met with Arnold and they sat down and talked, they had their first licensing deal with Sunset Slacks, saying that Arnold Palmer was the face of that. As he worked with Arnold Palmer, he began to sign players, golfers especially, like Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus, completing the three-headed monster of professional golf, as they were the biggest players of the game at that time. On a routine like none other, up at 4 in the morning every day to make calls to his offices in Japan, England, France, and other offices that had sports aspects in their world, Arnold would make sure that all of his executives across the world and in the States were on the page with the IMG brand. At one point, he was dubbed the most powerful man in sports due to his excellence at licensing and merchandising his athletes and events, such as a Pro-Am golf tournament, the first one ever held nationally inside the United States. Being the most powerful man in sports could come with a lot of consequences. Everyone hates you, everyone wants to be with you. Exactly how one of his employees, the head of the IMG golf division, Hughes Dorton, said, "We're the 1927 Yankees. Everyone hates us. That being said, everyone does hate you, but everyone does respect you." He went on from just representing athletes to getting big-time events like Wimbledon held in London and USG sanctioned tournaments for years to come inside the United States. One of the biggest moves made by IMG and McCormack himself was to get the Pope on board to host his tour of England in 1982. The reason the Pope reached out to IMG and Mark McCormack was because in 1979 he had lost a lot of money and time on a tour in Ireland. This became one of the biggest deals, quoted in an article in the New York Times. Paul wanted the Pope, switching over from just athletic events and people to hosting one of the biggest names in religion, the Pope. Although the foundation was set by McCormack and his small little company, his successes and ideas breathed a whole new life into sports management into the modern day, with different ideas coming for agents and his company alike. However, when IMG first started, it was one of a kind. But now today, with hundreds of major and minor sports agencies across the nation and world, the landscape has become more competitive, but still relies on the principles set up by Mark McCormack and the IMG company. Out of all the successes came a lot of cash and a lot of fame and a lot of notoriety. In 2004, Fortsman Little and Company bought out the McCormack's family stake of IMG for $75 million, according to the Reuters article. From then, IMG grew its brand and extended its limbs to a television and broadcasting section of the company where it would document what was going on. Along with that, it created its own sports teams and leagues for golf, tennis, football, basketball, along with academies and eventually their own college, according to the book Comprehensive Guide to Careers in Sports. IMG in the modern day still represents athletes and events, but has moved on to more modern era types of sports, such as the E-League sports, and also buying out one of the biggest fighting arenas in the world, the UFC, for $7 billion. With the foundation set by McCormack throughout his years, it was time for new blood to come into the game. People like Scott Boras, mostly known as a Major League Baseball agent, helped achieve contracts such as a $214 million 9-year contract with the Texas Rangers for one Prince fielder, the biggest at the time ever guaranteed to a Major League Baseball player, according to the Bleacher Report article. However, with all this success, Scott Boras still faced problems, cutting into the rules, going against what Mark McCormack believed in, being straightforward. He gave financial help to a Dominican baseball player, Edward Salcedo, against some MLB restrictions and free agency. This became a black mark on the career of Scott Boras. However, he's still successful to this day, representing players like Bryce Harper, according to the New York Times article. Finally, the study and the story of sports management is one that will keep growing, but it does have its history, but at the same time, a bright future to look forward to in the different types of the league, whether it be soccer, tennis, golf, basketball. IMG, Scott Boras, and Mark McCormack are all part of its tangled web, but the beauty of it is it'll keep growing. In the field of sports management, a lot can be said for how it's grown, but it can't grow if the seeds aren't planted, and that's what Mark McCormack did in the 60s. He made deals that revolutionized the world of sports management, but that doesn't come without great strides, and the marks of the business revolving around agents like Scott Boras and different representations of many management groups across the world. Mark McCormack revolutionized the sports world by making deals with famous athletes like Arnold Palmer early on and capitalizing on their skills and using his licensing and marketing and merchandising powers to get ahead in the new type of management and business world. Now, as you're sitting here listening to me talk, why don't we go back to that conference room? A man like Tiger Woods sitting across the room wondering how you're going to help him get his talents to the next level and merchandise his name. How cool would that be to sit there and listen to that conversation? This field is one to marvel at, and how much money goes through it and how much fame comes out of it, all thanks to one man, one handshake, and one idea to make money in something that he loved. Thank you.